Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Boxiest, and today we're going to continue the What If series. What if events had gone differently? And in this What If, we're going to change the history of Cobra Kai. What if Hawk joined the Iron Dragons during the events of Cobra Kai Season 6? So in this timeline, Terry Silver whistled by out the Iron Dragons, and those events would stay the same. The Saikai Taikai would still be revealed to take place in Barcelona. So Daniel and Johnny would still have to pick 6 fighters to compete in the Saikai Taikai, and they would still have a hard time deciding on who would go. So much like in the original timeline, Daniel would still bring in Mike Barnes, and Mike would still do a series of challenges to determine the top students, and those challenges would carry on. Mike would still choose his top 4, and Mike will still have to decide the remaining 2 spots on Miyamoto's team. Those events would continue, and much like in the original timeline, Johnny would still go talk to Mike, and those events would stay the same. And the next day, Mike will still say that the last 4 were too close to call, so Mike will still want the remaining 4 to race, so the challenge would begin. And Devin would still put laxatives in Kenny's water, so Kenny would still be out, so Devin would get a flag, and she would make the team. Dimitri and Hawk would still fight over the last flag, and much like in the original timeline, Dimitri will still take advantage of Hawk, and he will still get the last flag, so Dimitri would be the final member on the Miyamoto team, and those events would carry on. Season 6 would continue. Tori's mom would still pass away. Johnny and Daniel would still want Miguel and Robbie to compete for captain, so Miguel and Robbie would still fight. Robbie would still be balanced in this timeline, and he would still defeat Miguel, so Robbie would still be the boys' captain. Sam and Tori would still fight, and Tori would still be fighting with anger. Amanda and Daniel would still stop the fight, and much like in the original timeline, Tori would still quit Miyagi-Do, and she would still leave, and later on, Terry Silver would arrive in the valley, and Terry would track down Hawk. Hawk would be surprised to see Terry. Terry would say that he heard that he didn't make Miyagi-Do's team for the Saikai Taikai. He would say that he knows that he has what it takes to be a champion. He would tell Hawk that he has a new dojo for the Saikai Taikai, and he would want to offer Hawk a spot on his team. Terry would say that the choice was his. Hawk would be conflicted, but he would feel betrayed by Miyagi-Do, so Hawk would accept Terry's offer, and those events would continue. Sam would be the girls' Miyagi-Do captain, and Danny would pick Anthony to take Tori's place, since Hawk and Kenny were nowhere to be found. And at the Saikai Taikai, Miyagi-Do would be surprised to see Chris and Cobra Kai there. This is when Daniel and Johnny would notice that Hawk was on the Iron Dragons, and everyone would be confused. The Miyagi-Dos would be heartbroken, and the Saikai Taikai would carry on. The Miyagi-Do students would want to talk to Hawk and Tori, but much like Tori, Hawk would also be avoiding the Miyagi-Dos. Kwon would still be challenging the other dojos to a kicking competition, and Robbie would still accept Kwon's challenge, so those events would stay the same. Eventually the Captain's War Challenge would begin. Miyagi-Do would be on defense, and they would still be doing Protect the Egg, but Tori and Kwon would still want to go after the Miyagi-Dos. Kwon would still go after Robbie, and Robbie and Kwon would still fight, but Hawk wouldn't want to go after the Miyagi-Dos, and he would go after the Cobra Kais, but Yuna would still take Hawk down. Robbie would still be distracted by Tori, so Kwon would still take Robbie down, and Miyagi-Do would be out, so only the Cobra Kais and the Iron Dragons would remain. The rest of the Iron Dragons would still walk off. Kwon and Yoon would go after Axel, and Tori and Hawk would go after Zara. But much like in the original timeline, the Iron Dragons will still take down Cobra Kai, so the Iron Dragons would win. The Saikai Taikai would continue. Miyagi-Do would still have to knock the other dojo off the platform, but Miyagi-Do wouldn't do so well. The Iron Dragons would fight the West End Warriors, and Zara and Axel would be on the platform. Dimitri would want to talk to Hawk, but Hawk would ignore Dimitri. Miyagi-Do would still have to fight out Dublin Thunder. Robbie and Sam would still start off, and they would fight their opponents, but Robbie would still be distracted by Tori, so he would still be knocked off. So Devin would join Sam on the platform. Devin and Sam would still fight their opponents. The fight would continue, and Sam would still be knocked off, so Anthony would join Devin, and Devin and Anthony would be knocked off, so Miguel and Dimitri would go on the platform. Miguel and Dimitri would continue the fight, and in this timeline, they would take down Dublin Thunder. And much like in the original timeline, Carmen would still be rushed to the hospital, and Johnny and Miguel would have to leave, so Johnny would call for Kenny to take Miguel's place, and that is where I'm going to end part 1. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think would have happened if Hawk joined the Iron Dragons during the events of Cobra Kai Season 6? Let me know in the comments below. YouTube lets me know that the majority of you are not subscribed, so if you guys could subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And I'll see you guys next time.